Hi folks, it's the 31st of May 2020. Tomorrow will be the first day of winter in Australia. The 1st of June is the first day of winter in Australia. And this is my last harvest of dragon fruit this year. I've had a really good year this year. This is my 4th crop since summer. I've had 4 crops in, 6 months? Around about 6 months I've had 4 crops. From these 2 dragon fruit I have here in pots. Don't know if you can see that there, the black pot there. That's one pot, there's another one hidden behind there. So yeah, I've got a few fruit here. It's not bad for just a small clump of dragon fruit. Some of them are quite big, that's one of the biggest ones. I think that one there is the biggest. I'll put my hand just near so you can get a bit of an idea of size. See, that's a good sized dragon fruit, hey? I better pick all these as soon as I finish filming. Luckily the birds haven't discovered them yet. So yeah, what have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hang on, and there's one more in there. 11, and there's one at the back too. Don't know if you can see that. 12 dragon fruit, and there's even one more that's come on, flowered and set just recently, so I suppose I'll be getting that one in July, in the middle of winter, something like that. So yeah, very happy with that. It's going to be delicious, and eating those are going to make me very healthy. Incredibly healthy fruit to eat, very tasty and very good for your health too. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. Picking on the first day of winter. 4 crops in. This was my biggest crop actually, the others weren't quite as big as this I think. But yeah, quite amazing. 4 crops in 6 months. And these are my papayas. Everything's starting to slow down now because it's getting cold. We had a cold snap a few days ago and went down to 11 degrees at night. And pretty much when things drop to 11 degrees, everything just stops growing pretty much. Well, most plants. When you get 11 degree nights, the papayas do, they're still looking quite healthy now, but over the next few months they're going to start looking quite sad, I think. And oh yeah, they all got hit hard by that. I was calling it a virus last time, but now some other expert calls himself an educated expert. And he's probably pretty right, but I don't know if he's 100% right. As he calls it, it's not a virus, he reckons. He says it's the fruit spotting bug that chews the stems, chews the growing tips and stunts the papayas. But I think it's still, I don't think the science is 100% settled yet. I think he's mostly right. And in North Queensland he might even be 100% right. But I think down here, the bug also starts a virus. I think there's a connection between the bug chewing the papayas and a virus as well. It does seem to be a virus that gets into the plants down here where it's cooler after the bug bites them. Whereas up in North Queensland, he seems to think there's no virus. Well, up there maybe he's right, because they grow so much better up there. But yeah, maybe I'll give you more updates in the future as I find out more. Yeah, my big Hawaiian papaya, it's still struggling. I've got it pegged up with that steel bar there. It's leaning so much, otherwise it'd just snap off if it wasn't for that bar. And I'm getting a few fruit every few days. See, there's a fruit there that I'm going to pick off very soon. That one there is starting to get some colour. If I don't pick that in another day or two, a flying fox will get it. The flying fox are really onto my papayas. They get every single one if it ripens enough. But yeah, it's still a sad old tree, this one. There's another branch that's snapped off. And I lost that other branch up the back there. You see, I put a bar there to hold it, but it's still snapped off the damn thing. So yeah, I might be giving this thing a cut back soon. Cut it back a bit more, although that, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That top seems to be doing alright and putting out a bit of fruit. Although, you know, it's horizontal, it's on such an angle. I think before too long it's going to snap off. Anyway, as you know, I'm standing up on my car bonnet here, so I can get up to my dragon fruit. I'll just climb down and give you a better look at what else is going on here. The latest update. Yeah, this is not a bad sized fruit, eh? For such a small tree, small plant, and it's putting out a few more. That should be, hopefully that'll be a good plant by spring. Next spring it'll get a bit more size about it. But yeah, that's pretty good size, eh? That'll be ripening up before too much longer, I think. Anyway, these are my seedlings again. That's my jackfruit seedling. Looking forward to that getting a bit of size. And yeah, now I've got this thing, which is going to be interesting too, the Mammy Sapote. It tastes like sweet potato and brown sugar. Apparently, like a very sweet potato. A sweet potato covered in brown sugar. It's supposed to be a big fruit too, so, but it's going to take a good few years. And then I've got some custard apple seedlings here. That's my best seedling. That's from my Paxton Prolific fruit. There's a few little seedlings come up. That's a new one there, another new one. Another new one. I've planted seeds in all these pots, but now it's so cold. If they come up, it mightn't be till spring, summer now. But I'll just keep it wet. And yeah, these are my red pomelos. Still going quite well. Still getting a grub. I need to spray these again. See, unless I spray regularly, they die. They get like that, and they get even worse, and then they die. But if I spray them, they come up like that pretty quickly. They get over it, spray them with pyrethrin and kill the grub. So yeah, there's a few of these and a few in each pot. So hopefully next spring I'll be separating these, and you know, I might even get them to a few feet high by next summer. Is that they usually get fairly good sun in this spot, because the winter sun, it drops to the north that way, but you know, a fair bit of it comes through, gets in, and yeah. And these papayas, or that one anyway, it's just big enough to get the winter sun. These are going to struggle a little. They're a little bit too short, but they'll still get a bit, I think. Hopefully it won't be too bad on them. Yeah, then I've got this one. This red papaya. It's got a couple of fruit there. Yeah, it won't be growing much anymore now in winter. The next 2 or 3 months, they're not going to do much. They're just going to start looking more and more sad, I think, during winter. That's usually what happens. It sort of knocks them about a bit. Once that temperature gets down to 11 degrees or less. Oh yeah, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've moved all my soursops. Remember I had that big clump of soursops in there? I've potted them on and moved them around the side. And I had to do that because it was just shading out my veggie garden. It's hardly growing any veggies here. Because it was quite a big high clump here. And it gets so little sun here anyway. So, now I've moved that. I've got celery here. Mint. You can see down there, not a lot there actually, just those celery clumps mostly. Oh yeah, and the nasturtium has just come up again from seed from last winter. Doesn't grow very well here in summer. It gets too hot. I've just pulled that all aside, but it should keep living. Most of the leaves are upside down now, but it'll work it out. And the leaves will start coming up, facing upwards again. So that's good in a salad. And this this is quite bushy, hey? This is the Ceylon spinach. It looks a lot like my weed at the back there. The Madeira vine. I've got Madeira vine all through the backyard. And it's a real pest, but it's edible too actually. But yeah, this isn't as invasive and slightly better tasting, I think. And yeah, it's worth having, this Ceylon spinach. And once you've had a few growing, they self-perpetuate. They put out a few seeds, and see, I never even planted these. These came back from the year before. Don't know if you can see those seeds there. Might be getting a bit dark. You can just see them. Yeah, that's the seeds. So yeah, that gives me a lot of greens. And that celery should come back pretty quick now. Now it gets a lot of sun. That celery's looking more healthy already. But a few more weeks or a month or so, hopefully that'll get quite thick and bushy. Oh yeah, and then there's this nodding violet. Just a nice plant that always has a purple flower on it. That's my last soursop. That's one the gorillas broke off. They snapped it right off down at the base. And it looked like it was going to die, but it's re-sprouted, so that can stay there for a while. It's small and won't cause any trouble really. My strawberries. Picked a few strawberries lately. A couple more coming on soon. Yeah, you can see up there my dragon fruit again. Maybe you can see that dragon fruit at the back. You couldn't see that before from the front. So yeah, what did I count? 12 dragon fruit. Yeah, not bad. Happy with that. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's good. You can see it's late afternoon, so it's starting to get dark. Don't know if you know, remember I said I was going to take air layers from my custard apple, but I left it too late. It just got too cold, I think, and they won't go so well. So I'm going to have to wait till spring. When spring comes, I'll take a lot of air layers. And yeah, I got 4 fruit off it this year, which was just delicious. The fruit is just so good on this Paxton Prolific. Yeah, it's a superb plant. Arguably the best custard apple in Australia today, I think. Well, that's what others are saying. It's arguing that it's the best custard apple, and I'm inclined to agree. Although I'm not as experienced as them, but it sure is a good tasting fruit. And you know, it's when it gets, if I finally get this thing in the ground, it's going to be a real heavy bearer. You know, it bears heavy crops of fruit, and just a superior fruit in so many ways. You know, not too many seeds. It's not too bumpy. You know, some custard apples get so bumpy that it's hard to get the flesh out on the inside because they're just covered in big bumps, and you sort of got to really pick through to get all the flesh. But you know, it's quite a smooth skin, super sweet, tangy sweet, delicious fruit. Yeah, I'm hoping maybe I can get this in the ground somewhere this spring. Take a whole heap of air layers off it. All these sagging branches, that they all need to go now, because it's finally sent up the water shoots. This has taken 5 years, but there's a few of these water shoots now, and it's finally ready to grow up. You know, as I was saying before, it always wants to grow out because they've taken a cutting from a horizontal branch, and that improves the fruiting. Horizontal branches fruit more. But yeah, for 5 years this thing has just wanted to grow horizontal. But now it's finally set up its water shoot. This is what they do, they say. A whole heap of trees do this. They take a graft from a horizontal branch, and that one's sure to be a heavy bearer. But then for, you know, up to 5 years, just like this tree, it'll keep growing horizontal and hanging all over the ground. And then finally it'll send out a water shoot. And as soon as it does that, it's ready to grow into a big tree. The water shoot wants to grow up, wants to grow vertical. Although this is a custard apple, they tend to sag anyway. But yeah, this is a much more vertical branch than the others. You know. So yeah, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. You'll see better when I finally get it in the ground in the future anyway. And I'll just give you a quick look around the back here. It's not too dark. My papayas here. Yeah, it's sort of just high enough to get the light, I guess. It's thrown out those leaves, really reaching to try and get the light. I've got 3 papaya in there. And that really big, excellent papaya I had, remember it just died, unfortunately. I suspect perhaps because of that satellite dish. That's one of my suspicions, hey. I think that sat dish is zapping everything. And wrecking my health too, because I sleep so close to it. See, there's the sat dish, and my bedroom is in there, so I sleep only 4 metres. 4, maybe 5 at the most meters away from that thing every night. So yeah, it's something that's stuffing my health up. So I've got to try and move my bed eventually. Move it somewhere away from that sat dish. Oh yeah, and this umbrella tree needs a chop back. I use these as house plants actually. I chop back big branches and put it in water in the living room. So yeah, I want to do that soon, and that'll just get more light to this papaya too over winter, because it's starting to shade out the papaya tree. Anyway, what else are we looking at? Yeah, those few hanging plants, they're same as aluminium plant, still there, this vine. tends to be always stay in pretty good health. Another one of these, what do they call these, ribbon plants or something? They're nice, I reckon. That one's growing quite well. Started off small not so long ago and starting to get a bit of size about it. Okay, now I'll show you my extension at the back here now. Extended thanks to the gorillas. This is where I got my Soursops now. So I've potted them up, and doesn't get a real lot of light here. I've used a different potting mix, which I'm not real happy with. I think it's got too many chips of wood in it. And these Soursops, well, it's winter as well, but they are dropping leaves, which is not a good sign. I've just checked it with my finger too, and also it's compacted down too hard. It's not as good as the potting mix as that Searles. It's that's it there. Scott's premium they claim, but it's not so good with Osmocote. The Searles has gone out of business because of this COVID lockdown. The Searles potting mix was excellent. But see how they're dropping leaves? It's not a good sign because they haven't been in the pots for long. And they're dropping leaves already. And it's cold, so that doesn't help. But that's a real bad sign. I think it's, a big part of it is it's a crappy potting mix. Too many chunks of wood in it. Look at it. See, that's just it's a damn log, really. Termites will go for that even. Not broken down enough. The Searles was a beautiful, friable, really well broken down mulch. And this has got hunks of wood in it. And yeah, a lot of trees tend to not like that. Some do and some don't. It's not an ideal potting mix, I think. But anyway, I got those there. It's better than out the front. They had to get moved somewhere. They grew really well over summer. I guess because, these are a tropical plant. They don't like the winter at all. They haven't grown an inch for 2 months. As soon as it started getting cold, they stopped growing. And, from now on, they'll probably be very unhappy. But hopefully they'll pull through. They've only got to hang on 3 months. And they'll be okay. And I cleared this a bit to let some more light in. This needs to be cleared, and when I was fit I could clear this in half an hour. But now, oh man, it's such a challenge to chop this stuff back. And yeah, I've got a bit of chop and drop there. Oh, it's starting to get too dark, isn't it, I think, to see what's going on. I've left this a bit late. That's some of the branches I've chopped. I've put beside the trees. I better move quicker, I think, because it's getting dark fast. And these are my papayas in pots. I want to pot a few more on soon. A few that are in the 6-inch pots. I think I've got about 80 there. Yeah, these are the papayas that I chopped back. I had to chop them back because of that virus or fruit spotting bug, as I was saying before, that's chewed into them. So yeah, I've chopped them back, but they're growing quite well. They've got over the chop, but now I think they'll slow right down now. They have been growing, but it's just about to get too cold for them. As soon as we get 11-degree nights every night, just everything grinds to a halt. So yeah, I think I've got roughly about 80 of these Thai dwarf papayas in pots that I really want to plant in this yard, but I still haven't got the strength to clear out more ground. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. I hope I can get more in the ground. As I was saying in the last video, I want to clear out all that back part. Clear that out of... I'm going to get I might be able to get assistance to clear that out. Get some professional guys in with chainsaws to clear that out. And plant papaya in there. And that's the black sapote. It's sort of getting this is the that's that Madeira vine, by the way. It's just a rampant vine. It's edible, but it's a real prick of a damn thing. Came in from a neighbour's yard and now it's just nearly impossible to get it out. There's an avocado tree under all that vine there. And I'll have to try and chop this back soon before it gets too much of a hold. As soon as it gets up high and gets on light, it just goes crazy. And it's, yeah, you can see it's taken over it's starting to smother the black sapote tree. Yeah, and then there's these papayas here. I wanted to show you that. That's sort of how they grow. They grow very bushy when you chop them back. But then I just pulled some of the extra branches off. Like I'll just show you those bottom ones there. Just snap them off. And just encourage one branch to grow. And if the plant's healthy, give it some time. And like this one, for instance, I've pulled all the extra branches off that one. I'm just training one branch to grow. And yeah, by late spring, it'll be a few months yet, but by about late spring, you'll hardly even know this thing was ever chopped back. It'll just join up. See where it's been hacked there? The branch will just get so big that you won't even know it was ever cut back. And I've sort of done the same there with that one. Starting to get too dark, but there's a couple of branches there. You know, you could just let it grow the way it is and it would throw a lot of branches out. And it'd be bushy, but I don't want that. I want to train just one branch to grow straight up, as tall as possible. So I get the maximum amount of trees in the minimum amount of space. So, and there's a new little veggie garden I've started. Almost too dark, isn't it? That's a perennial spinach. We've got basil there, celery, I've got, yeah, a wasabi. I've got some new veggies I've never seen before, actually. Wasabi is that one. This stuff, never grown it before. They call it, I don't know if you can see that. That's what it's called, Mitsuna Red. Mitsuna. Not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Perhaps Japanese or something. Horseradish there. Kangkong. I've seen that before. It's water spinach. Seems to be doing all right. It's sort of, you know, not growing too badly. And usually every day when I come out here in the sun, I'll eat a few leaves for breakfast. Just pick them straight out of the garden. It's a pretty good health regime, I think. And so yeah, and there's the The rest of my papayas there. They still are growing because it gets a fair bit of sun in here. But yeah, and I've got my 2 soursops. I planted my 2 biggest soursops here in the ground. They've stopped growing, but they'll be happy to be in the ground. They get pretty good sun there, and by spring they'll take off, I think, in spring, and it's maybe only a year and a half away, and I should be picking fruit from those trees. There's one there, and another one there at the back. Getting hard to see, isn't it? I've left it a bit too late. It gets dark really quick here in winter. I think it wouldn't be 6 o'clock yet. It'd be only a nice sunset out there under a chemtrail sky. Should have seen how weird our skies were today. We're just getting the weirdest skies these days. You know, nobody seems to notice. Get cloud patterns that we've never had before, you know. This last 10 years or so. Nobody seems to notice it. That is quite nice, I guess, this afternoon. Yeah, what else? I got the mints there. What's this stuff called again? Kale. Nearly forgot the name of that. Yeah, and there's more of this Mitsuma. It's a different variety. That one's a red one and that one's a green one. Yeah, and this perennial spinach is usually well worth planting. It's a very tasty spinach, and there's another one there. Gets big leaves. That's a clump. There's about 2 or 3 plants in that clump. And yeah, it grows well and very tasty. Sort of quite a nice sweet sort of, got almost a tang about it. Very good. Yeah, that bigger papaya there is another Hawaiian Gold. And these shorter ones are all Dwarf Thais. And yeah, the bananas are my ladyfinger variety. That I bought tissue culture. 100% legal to grow these. Tissue culture ladyfinger bananas from North Queensland. Yep, and I think that's going to have to be the end of it because it's got too dark on us, hasn't it? I hope you like that. Oh yeah, we've got it's a rising moon. I think we're still in the first quarter, about to go into the second quarter. Yep, and this is winter. Well, tomorrow is the first day of winter. So it's getting cool. Okay. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye for now. Just giving you a quick look at my dragon fruit harvest today on the 31st of May 2020. Yeah, my 4th harvest in 6 months. Which, yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that. And some of them are quite big. Hey, look at that baby. That's about as big as they get. Oh, and that one's pretty small, hardly counts, but I bet it's still nice and sweet. But yeah, 12 of them, I counted them right. 12 fruit, just out of 2 pots. Just 2 pots just sitting on the veranda. I found I'm getting a better harvest now. Like, they're really root bound. There's roots all through the veranda. It's kind of like holding the veranda together even, I think. And as you might have seen in an earlier video, The roots run from the veranda of the top story right down to the ground. Well, they try to, I cut them off. But they run underneath the veranda on the second story and will run right down and root into my veggie garden below and dry out my veggie garden if I'm not careful. But I found, though, that's what I was going to say, was I water them every second day. I was watering them every day for a few years and they've grown quite big and bushy. But in summer now, I think I'm getting a bit better fruit, getting a heavier crop of fruit, watering them every second day. Oh, and also the big secret that started getting me fruit was adding sulphate of potash. Every year I add like a couple of handfuls of Dynamic Lifter Organic pellets and about a handful of sulphate of potash. Yeah, maybe the sulphate of potash twice a year, a handful. In spring, summer, and just suddenly they've just started flowering and fruiting really well. So yeah, I started that 2 years ago, got good crops last year. I think I might have got 2 or 3 crops last year. This year 4 crops. Yeah, 12 fruit, which, you know, is pretty damn good if you ask me, just from a little amateur setup. I'll slice one of these open for you. As you can see, it has split, but that's no real problem. Might have still been getting a little too much water, hey, if it's split. But I'll get a knife here. Bit hard. I really need a GoPro strapped to my head, don't I? But I should be able to manage this. Slice it open, give you a look at the inside. Look at that. Oh man, they taste so good. They really do, and they're so good for your health. There's powerful antioxidants. Powerful. Spoon, where's the spoon? I'll give it a taste test. Okay, give it a taste test. Of course, you know I'm going to say it's delicious. Don't they all when they give them a taste test? But hey, this is delicious. This will just be superb, just straight off the plant. Doesn't get any better. Yeah, perfectly ripe on the plant. I'm lucky, like the flying foxes have discovered, touch wood, touching wood, touch wood. The flying foxes have discovered my papayas, and the minute they get a little bit ripe, they're onto them. But these dragon fruit are only a few feet away from one of my papayas. The flying foxes raid the papayas, but they still haven't found these, so touch wood. I'm going to get away with it for a few more years yet before any birds or flying foxes discover it. Or rats. There's always a lot of rats here. It's the city. The rats just keep coming up out of the drains. I keep killing them off, but they just keep coming back, you know. Yeah, they just come out of the drains. They live down in the drains, and that's what I think. That's my theory. Yeah, so okay. Hope that inspired you to plant a few of your own, because you can't go wrong with these things. You just can't. Put a few in a pot and give them somewhere to climb. Full sun's the best, as much sun as possible. These don't even get full sun, but they get a fair bit of sun. And they climb on that railing, and yeah, can't go wrong with them. One of the best foods. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye for now.